Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter, and the team is back, everyone. Thomas Aarons with Fishing in the DMV right here in the bottom, and Hank the Bass Geek for all you guys who are watching on YouTube. Really appreciate all the follows, all the new likes on YouTube. Guys, if you're not following us on YouTube, please head on over now. Hit the like, subscribe. What else they got to hit, Geek? Hit it all. I mean, hit the notification.
The subscribe is the biggest part.
Subscribe. You know, it's kind of funny. It's not someone else. There's so many different names for so many different things like Facebook. You got to hit the like. You got to hit, join our fan page. Join this page. I mean, it's like, it's like and subscribe.
Follow.
What's that?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
But guys, thank you all for being a part of Basscast Radio. Welcome back to the show. Hopefully, you guys all enjoyed the show me and Geek did last week. Thank you all for listening. By the way, we talked about the new FFS rules for 2026 for the Bassmaster Elite season, where they are going to start picking events where forward-facing sonar will be allowed and where it will not be allowed. Aren't you guys excited? I need cheers or something.
Super excited. And no, I'm lying. I can't even pretend.
Okay, we're done.
Hear about it. They're doing what is expected.
Yep. They're caving into the boomers because, as we all know, the boomers kind of ruined this country, and they're continuing with the bass rules, complaining enough. You could just go over the MPFL. I think Greg Hackney likes it over there, but no. The boomers will walk into any restaurant and be upset with your menu and tell you to just custom make something. That's their mindset. Like, instead of leaving and going to the MPFL, where it's like, hey, there's no scope. It's like, no, you have to change everything for me because I demand it.
Yes. All right. Speaking of NPFL, are you going to run down there, Geek?
I may run down there. I've got to work nights, so I don't know. I was thinking about running down there and maybe catching a weigh-in or something, just seeing what what's going on. It's, a little less than 2 hours, so I may take a day. I don't know what their final day is. I may run.
It's actually Saturday.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Saturday.
This one Saturday, which is unusual for them. And if I had the time, I would go myself, but it would be a 5-hour trip for Carter all the way down, watch a weigh-in, find a place to sleep, and turn around and come back. By this time, guys, the show goes up on Monday. By the way, we drop a show every Monday morning at 5 o'clock, so it will be over, but it is pretty cool to have them really this close to you, Geek, by the way. Still millions of miles away from fishing the DMV, but maybe, the Potomac is going to be in June, guys, for Major League Fishing. So hopefully we'll see Thomas there on this, waving at the boats as they drive by or whatever, It'd be up in your neck of the woods or close to you.
I'm excited for it. I mean, again, it's something that came up on one of my shows recently where there's a lot of media attention and limelight in this area. Albemarle Sound, the James River, Smith Mountain Lake this week, and then we got the Potomac. I mean, it really shows off. There's a lot of really cool fisheries in this area that are finally kind of getting the love that they deserve.
So, like you said, Smith Mountain Lake this week, you guys all know, thank you so much to everyone who enjoyed the content, the likes, the shares. We appreciate all of it. Heavy hitters, we record on Wednesday, so we don't know who won yet, but Justin Lucas is dominating. He's put on a clinic this week on Smith Mountain Lake, and he said he loves the lake, and we've had Justin on this show. We had him. Good gosh, it's been a little while back. He's hanging out in his garage next to the boat, so we had him on the show. So we really appreciate him coming on. Maybe we can get him back on. I had to have a week off, and then the Major League Fishing's back at it again. So, but congratulations to whomever ends up winning that event. It's really cool to kind of highlight your home water, and it's cool. Go ahead, Geek.
Tomorrow's the last day, right? Which
Thursday
for you guys
was,
be over.
Thursday was the last day. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I tuned in today. I hadn't got to watch much of it, but I was surprised at how dirty the water was. It was up the
Upriver.
river. I was watching Michael Neal up there wearing them out.
They have exhausted the Roanoke River this week, everybody. I mean, they've been up here all freaking week tearing it up and showing you just, different ways. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It really doesn't matter the bait. It's just really cool to watch these professional anglers break down bodies of water.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is a long event. It's a very long event. I mean, it's started on Saturday, ends on Thursday. But it's $10,000 the first couple of days for big fish. Wednesday's big fish is $30,000, and then the final day big fish is $100,000.
Yeah.
And if you made it to the final day and you're the top 10, then the winner overall takes home another $100,000.
Yeah. And they raised the size limit too, the minimum size limit on the last day.
Yes, the minimum size limit is 3 pounds.
Yep.
So they've gone from 2 pounders to 3 pounders. And you guys just rewind, head on back to the Basscast Facebook page. I've got lots of videos up. And I just, like I said, I just got off the back from the lake myself about an hour ago. But Justin said he's got the 4s. He's been catching them all week, and it's his event to win. And we'll have a winner next week, and we'll discuss it and break it all down next week right here on Basscast Radio. Go ahead.
Scale of 1 to 5, round table. What do you think of the event? 5 being, lights out, 1 being net.
Guys, this is like a big question, and I have gotten many messages regarding this right here. Many. The event itself has been pretty good. It's kind of helped promote our body of water. One thing I will say though, I mean, we have a tournament every freaking week on every day. I mean, I think we take like 1 day off a week, maybe 2 days off during the summertime. We don't have a tournament, and it's gonna help the boat traffic. Hopefully, it's gonna not help. It's gonna hurt more boat traffic, and I'm hoping that on top of showcasing our lake, it does help the community. So, I mean, that's one thing you really do. Airbnbs, hotel stays, which there aren't many. I mean, I don't know. I give it a 6.
Well, out of 5. Okay, I like it.
You said out of 5. I'm sorry. I give it. Okay, you said out of 5. I apologize. I give it a 3.5 then.
A 3.5. Okay, Hank, have you been watching all of it?
I've been watching it, which I've always liked the heavy hitters. I mean, from an outside looking in, I mean, out of 5, I probably give it a 4. I like the format. I like the whole deal. I like the, it's almost kind of like a big bass tournament meets your standard everyday tournament, kind of a hybrid. There's 2 little tournaments in one, which I think would make the heavy hitters even better if you would have like these, well, I mean, I guess you kind of do have hourly weigh-ins.
Yeah.
So,
all right, so I'm going out of the business side of it. That's my opinion of it. But if you want to say what Major League Fishing has done, the coverage, the drone footage has been freaking amazing. I mean, guys, if you guys check the damn drone footage, it is like awesome. I mean, we're seeing hookups, we're seeing bait fish. I mean, these drones are like the bomb. And the coverage from that end, I mean, I give that almost a 5. But what I'm hoping is this thing translates for the town and the community and what the money.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask. What is the fan experience on site like?
0.
Wow.
And the town was happy with that. And I actually, guys, I spoke to the gentleman who's in charge of the Chamber of Commerce for Franklin County, and they were okay with that. I just, there was no.
Is that a big miss? Like, do you think the
100%.
chamber maybe, or maybe local people kind of didn't want a gathering? Is that what it was? And do you
I,
think that's a miss on that?
I was told that they cannot find a location.
Mm.
I just don't think Smith Mountain Lake wants them. It's kind of like where I live. I'm
That's
not gonna lie,
that's
guys.
what I was getting
Mm-hmm.
I live in Appomattox. I don't want nothing down there. I mean, they talked about putting a whole entire shopping district, like one of those Tangier outlets in Appomattox, and they're like, "Heck no, we don't want that crap here."
at. Mm.
And I think it's the same way.
Mm.
I don't think they really wanted them there, but the towns, but the county saw an opportunity to hopefully, showcase and maybe bring more people, but then it brings more traffic, and then it brings more pollution, then it brings more blah 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 blah.
But
blah.
that is something we have to really like. If you want the DWR to care about a body of water, if you want it to be taken care of, you have got to cast it in the limelight. If you are one of these old guys that says, I want no one to talk about that lake, don't be shocked when a homeowner association comes in eventually and says you're not allowed to fish that lake anymore.
And that was kind of what I was getting at. There's a lot of big, pretty homes on that lake. And, was it the homeowners, that really don't want that lake showcased?
Possibly, but they're there. And that's what matters. And it's getting public attention. It's hard because couple of comments, I like to skim the comments to see what the normal people think. And the biggest thing I get from the goldfish brains is, well, it's called heavy hitters and they ain't hitting any heavies. And I could see that might be a detriment from a optics marketing standpoint because there's not, 10 pounders being caught left and right. But 3 and 4 pounders are just popping off all the highlights, dude. It's insane.
Very healthy 3 and 4 pounders. Post-spawn 3
clean,
and 4 pounders.
healthy, beautiful fish. And so, I think this has been a great success. I would give it a 4 out of 5 just because the size didn't show up. I mean, you could talk to locals like Chad or Billy or things like that, and they could probably give you more in depth of like why they're not catching the big ones. But all in all, I think the Smith Mountain Lake community should be happy with how it's debuting this place. This should have been an event just for the regular season. Let's be real. Like it shouldn't be heavy hitters in general because it's not, it's not going to hit that heavy.
Yeah.
But as a regular event, yeah, absolutely. It'd be perfect for it. I'm very happy. I am.
It's been great. I started the basscast.com back in 08 and 09 when the elites were here. It's just, I was always been a big fan, and we've had Keith Poche on the show many times. And it was cool, having him back on the lake again. He hasn't been here in 15 years. So, I mean, it's pretty cool just to kind of relive history again. Because, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm probably stupid now. You guys probably tell me that in the comments below. But it was just really cool to kind of be a part of that and have them back here 15 years later, 16 years later, whatever it's been.
Wow, I can't believe it's been that long. Oof.
Yeah. So it was really, really cool to have a big major event on Smith Mountain Lake. And especially, Keith talked about it today. And you guys go watch the video. I uploaded there on the Basscast Facebook page. The company, he's partners with the company who put the tiger bass in Smith Mountain Lake. And so that was really cool to talk about that and how he's partnered with them. And now that they're going Smith Mountain Lake, and now 10 years later, we're seeing 10-pound bass. So, I mean, it's really cool to see the evolution of the whole entire process.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's totally, I think it's a total different lake, in my opinion, than when I started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is. So it's a great lot to cheer for the community, and hopefully it helps them out.
And it's diverse. They're catching them multiple ways. I mean, you're having people hitting the banks. People thought they'd just be scoping, minnowing. And there's a lot of that going. There was a lot of that going on the first couple of rounds. I guess is what they call it, rounds. But you see so many people just shallow, which is kind of nice, I think, too, just from a optic standpoint, because of how much the 80-year-olds hate forward-facing sonar. So it's kind of nice to see like they're catching them multiple ways on top.
Yeah, that's what surprised me. Like I said, I tuned in today and I was like, Michael Neal's fishing. Where's dirty water on this lake? I thought this was like an ultra clear lake. So it's good to
Main
see,
channel.
that they're up there, skipping chatterbaits and frogs over underhangs, kind of a
Oh yeah.
typical shad spawn. As soon as I seen them doing that, I was like, oh, shad spawn.
Yep.
Like, there's a shad spawn.
And I mean, it's no secret they've been chasing it all week. That it kind of changed up on Wednesday with the clouds and the rain and all that good stuff. But like I said, congratulations to whoever wins this event. Let's go around the room real quick, catch up with everybody, see what has been going on. Geek will hit you first, and then we'll move on down to Thomas.
Man, just doing the same old, pumping out the content. Still recovering. I think things have. We're starting to see that bounce back. We're starting to see, things get better. We dropped a video the other day, and it's done like 16K in like 3 days.
Good.
So we're getting there. We're still up and down, but it's just another day.
All right, Thomas, your world.
It's been a crazy week or two. Let's just say at my household, on and off the water. Had some stuff in life that I'll be probably making a video about this Friday, just to let everybody know the situation. And then that happens Thursday, Friday, and within 48 hours of that, not being able to process all that stuff, I crack a win that I was not expecting. I didn't go with forward-facing sonar. I went the full other route because I didn't have it on my kayak yet, and I won. 66 people were there. One with 92 plus inches. One by half an inch. Against the next two people were scopers, so I beat a bunch of scopers in that event, awesome. Which was pretty crazy. And it shows you that you don't have to have the best pattern; you just have to have it to yourself, so to speak. And I was lucky enough that I was not splitting water much at all day.
That's good. That's real good. Yeah, guys, that was pretty awesome when Thomas dropped the news on us that he won that event. Your video that morning was pretty freaking awesome, by the way. It made me laugh a whole lot. So that was pretty awesome. I got to see that. It was something pretty cool because I was down on Kerr Lake all weekend for the Kyak 2025 championship. Again, that's the Carolina Anglers Team Tournament Trail event. And the winners, congratulations to them. It's some gentlemen from North Carolina. And I think after it's all said and done, bonuses. No, this is bonuses, side pots. They do a side pot. They took home right at $30,000. So congratulations to them. One of the biggest wins ever for these two anglers. So congratulations to them. But we were down there, and then like I said, we come up this whole week, and we've been covering the heavy hitters. And then it's the holidays, guys. We're going to be coming off a holiday weekend. The NPFL, like I said earlier, will be down in Tennessee, so that's really cool having that close. Guys, this is the year I've preached this and preached this and preached this. If you want to meet Major League Fishing anglers, Bassmaster Elite anglers, and you live right here in Central Virginia, where I or Geek live, and Thomas, all three of us live, this is a year for you to meet them. I mean, they can't get no damn closer. There's no other way for me to say it. Like I said, we still got the Potomac coming up. We still got I can't remember what series coming up on the James. Then, like I said, the elites were just down in North Carolina on Hartwell, a couple hours away from us. You got the Bassmaster Team Championship going on in South Carolina later in this year. Also, you have the NPFL Championship going on down in Hartwell. I know it's later this year. Please check calendar, guys, by the way. But it's been a heck of a year for us, and just having these anglers and professional anglers this close to us. And get ready for Tennessee 2025, the Bassmaster Classic. We'll be back on the Tennessee River.
I wish they would do one of the other lakes other than Fort Loudon, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I know everything's right there, but,
So get out there, check them out, be a part of it. And like I said, you couldn't ask for a better year of, being able to see your favorite pro, whoever it is, whether it's NPFL, Bassmaster, or Major League Fishing. All right, guys. One last thing, man. We were talking about earlier. Join our Patreon. Please be a supporter. Whether you listen to the podcast weekly, bi-weekly, or not, Patreon members all get early access. I upload the shows on Sunday to Patreon members. It is commercial free. And once we hit 25 Patreon members, we are going to start doing maybe a couple giveaways as well. But tonight, we're going to let Thomas take over the show a little bit. First of all, I want to talk about your tournament that you have going on right now that the basscast.com is sponsoring, by the way, the Plaques. Talk about your tournament, and then we're going to talk about kayak fishing as a whole, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. The tournament has been absolutely insane with the amount of fish catches we have. I can even, I could share the screen on. Actually, can I share the screen? Let's see. This actually works out great since I just did a promotion.
Yes, there it is. All right, here we go.
There we go. So I just did a promotion here on the YouTube channel. This will be up actually before we get started here. So in 10th place, we have David Thompson with 129 inches. In 9th place, we have Bruce. I think we know Bruce with 129.75.
Yeah, we all know Bruce.
Jason Church with 133.50 for 8th place. We have Dustin, I cannot pronounce your last name, McCubey, I think, 133.75. In 6th place, Jason Niche with 144.50. 5th place in the largemouth division is Jamie McLean. He's out of a boat, 150.50. We have Josh Reese, Kayak Boy, with 151.50. Wow. In 3rd place, we have Larry Gray, boat guy, again, 155.0. And we have Pete Whitaker, 155.50. Steve Beck with 166.75. And that's so far for the largemouth division with time to go. Let's get to the smallmouth division real quick. In 10th place, we have Chip Hopkins with 54.75. In 9th place, we have David Calete with 73.25. In 8th place, Scott Miller, 116.25 inches at this point. And then we have Jose Serrano with 129.50. In 6th place, we have Nathan Fee, 131.25 inches. In 5th place, we have Andy Bowman, 134.0. We have the Upper Potomac Ghost, Cliff Bennett with 140.5 inches. We have Jaher Khalil with 148.75 in 3rd place. And then the guy from Cleveland himself, Aaron Ball, with 153.50 of Lake Erie smallmouth. And then Jacob Hausman of course, the Susquehanna River with 160.25 inches. Let's get into the big fish awards, shall we? The first big one that we're giving away, if this stands, for $100 and a plaque, this is a water whale. This is a 23.25 inch largemouth from a kayak. And this is what I keep saying about kayak fishing. Look at all these tournaments he's entered to. Not just my tournament. He's entered into about 700 tournaments at one time. I wonder if that's good. That'd probably come up in conversation again. And as I put here.
Yeah, no joke. Holy cow, look at that tank. Guys, you need to be watching this on YouTube right now.
Yeah. Go on to Basscast. Check this out on YouTube. This is what I call a water whale. It's kind of retarded because I realized all whales are in the water, but it has 2 W's. So it kind of sounds good. Larry Gray, this 22.25 inch absolute watermelon stud. Josh Reese, again, I'm giving this one out of my own pocket because this fish is just so aesthetically pleasing. 22.25 inch largemouth by Josh Reese. Let's get over to the smallmouth awards. Cliff Bennett with a 21.25 inch brown football from Maryland. Again, for Maryland, this is what I do for the smallmouth. The biggest smallmouth caught in Maryland waters, Pennsylvania waters, and Virginia waters. And then, of course, for Pennsylvania waters, we have Jacob Hausman with a 20.5 inch monster brown little football. And then Rodney Williams, I think with this is a Shenandoah stud, 19.75 inches. And then we have the side pot challenge. Lee Wells catches a freaking dragon, 30 inches. It is about 4 inches short of the state record for Virginia when it comes to snakehead. This ain't gonna get beaten. This is 30 and 33 inches is massive. And then Larry Gray with a 14.25 inch crappie. There was another crappie that was brought in that was about, I think it was 17 inches long, but he did not measure it correctly. If no other crappies caught, I'll give him a little gift card because It's insane. It's massive. It looks like a bass. It's so big.
That's a
And
good
then,
one to pan. I'll tell you that right now,
dude,
boy.
the Cisco should be married that one. Tyler Simmons with a sunfish. Right now it's 8 inches. Guys, you can win $100 in a plaque for a stupid sunfish. The fact that more people don't get on this is crazy. And then because I grew up fishing creeks, rock bass are a big near and dear thing to my heart. I always do a rock bass side pot. An 11-inch rock bass right now for
Oh,
$100.
wow.
Absolutely massive.
That is massive, guys. What are rock bass? Usually maybe like 2 pounds. The big, huge ones.
Yeah. And you look
Huge.
at this guy's got decent sized hands too. Don't let this Hobbit video footage fool you. It's a really, really nice fish. And then again, guys, we still have until June 15th for people to kind of drop some of this stuff now. So still plenty of time. What I love about doing these tournaments like this is it's a mix. It's not just kayaks. There's one guy, the guy that does the rock bass and the sunfish. He fishes from the bank, and we got kayakers. We got some jet boat guys. So it's
That
a
is
neat
so
little
awesome.
mix. But huge shout out to Brian at the Basscast for that. It's been a fun tournament with a ton of fish catches.
That is so freaking cool. It's great to see the update. Thank you, Thomas, for that, because that's really cool. You can see all them fish. But congratulations. Hopefully it holds up for you all out there. Plenty of time out there, like you said, to submit. Hopefully some bigger fish. But dude, geek, man, that things are huge, man.
That's some big ones.
Oh,
Big ones.
It's the one thing I realize now that I'm a tournament director. When at night you don't get to watch TV, but you sit there on your computer judging about 100,000 fish. It's like, whoops, did not think this through.
Yes. And for you guys knowing, I mean, it is a lot of work. It really is. Because, I mean, we did our little kayak series for a while and, just judging fish and like even just a little Saturday tournament. And you run yours for what, a month?
A month and some change. Yep.
Jesus.
Good gosh.
And I will get this up for you. There has been 385 fish caught. So that's pretty.
Between roughly how many anglers, by the way?
41 anglers.
Wow.
And so that's, huge shout out to everybody. A lot of fish have been caught, a massive turnout. We're almost getting BFL numbers, which is pretty crazy.
That is pretty awesome. Like I said, congratulations. Giant bass, giant fish. Good luck in everybody. There's plenty more time left. We got 3 weeks.
And you can still sign up. That's the thing about this, because it's such a long tournament. If you want to get in now and you still have time to possibly run the board, so sign up.
All right. First of all, you got to be a Patreon member, by the way, to be able to enter, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to head on over to patreon.com/fishing the DMV.
Yes, sir. Just type in Fishing the DMV on Patreon. Guys, it's basically like, think of it as a club membership fee. Like if you join Bass, FLW, MLF, same basic thing. So sign up at the club. We will have another tournament this summer as well. We'll have 5 tournaments all year because I basically back them with my bank account. I just do 5. That way I know I'll have enough finances to kind of like back it no matter how many people we join, whether it's 1 or whatever. I will make sure that those fees get paid. So that's one nice thing about my tournaments. They're not necessarily the best things because it's $400 to the winner of each bracket and it pays down a little bit. So it's not Toyota Tundra money, but it's pretty good money for what you're getting.
All right. Like you said, enter today. You still have time. The big fish fight's still on, and good luck to everyone there. Let's roll into your Thomas got some talking points. We talked a little bit offhand, and we talked about his win this past week. And we're gonna let him take it away, and then we're gonna do a little discussion. We'll wrap this bad boy up tonight, but we really appreciate Thomas kind of running tonight's show.
Lord.
So here we go, everybody.
All right, so this is going to be the spicy one because again, I'm going to full disclosure waiver form here. I'm going to say I do own a bass boat. I have a bass boat, and if anyone would like to give me a bright, shiny new Camus, I would 100% take it, and I will pimp that shit out for you. No problem there. But with that said, I have run. This will be my 3rd tournament I've run, and I've gotten more in the kayak industry. And I keep talking to locals, and it's like, so why don't you fish out of a boat? And he's like, I win like $6,000 every weekend. I was like, what are you doing? BFL? So I was like, no, kayak tournaments. And I didn't understand this until I started to get into it. And when you look at the cost of a tournament entry fee, which is between $30 and $50, And the fact that you can enter like 7 tournaments at the same time, just take a picture like we saw, and then you're entered across the board. And then the fact that you're not filling up a 200-gallon gas tank and practicing and trailering. It's interesting. This past tournament at Nye, this guy had a 3. What do you call 3? Is it called tri? I don't know. Whatever you call a kayak trailer that carries 3 kayaks. And all 3 friends just carpooled down. So all 3 of them individually fish, but they split the gas 3 ways. You can't do that if you and your friend have a bass boat. So it's just making me feel like when this is the biggest thing that bass boats and the elites and MLF have a problem with. When you can get a kayak for $50 entry fee and you can win close to $2,000 like I did, and mine was not this massive Bassmaster or Hobie style event, and win $2,000. The math is that is a 3,500% return on my investment. If you won a BFL, this past BFL, for $220 was your entry fee, and you win $1,000 without buying a $100,000 Phoenix and getting bonus bucks, you have a 1,100% return on your investment. There is a higher return on your investment with less expenses, I think, in kayaking versus boats. Ding, ding, ding. Round 1 of the argument begins.
Well, I mean, look, I get it. We can argue 100 different ways, but the truth of it is, kayak fishing is less expensive. But if you're comparing that, now let's talk a little bit about the tournament you fished, because you're comparing it to a BFL. Now, listen, I'm not going to defend the BFLs. I think they're horribly run, and they've been a cash cow they were a cash cow for the FLW before.
Yes.
To support it, and they're still being used as a cash cow, and it's starting to show up because the numbers are dropping, especially when you can go fish, like in my area, the Morristown Marine, which is a regional tournament. It's the same 5 lakes almost every single year, not a lot of traveling, and it's guaranteed $10,000 for first, and it's a guaranteed $30,000 for the championship tournament. The payouts are very good, and the entry fee for a team basically equates to $75 per person. So, and I traveled with a lot of guys, and I think this is the farce. And look, I am 110% great. I love that kayak fishing is getting more people involved. I love that it's a great, affordable way to do it. But I think
here's the
I think the problem I have with kayak fishing in general is that we don't compare apples to apples. And we're selling the same BS lie that Bassmaster sold in the 70s, 80s, and 90s to the common man. And what I mean by that is that this is a sport you can get into just being a common man and make a living from it. And, I think it's preposterous. It's garbage. It's BS. I fished several BFLs out of a $12,000 that I bought 21 years ago bass boat. I love the argument that most kayak guys want to make. Well, you got to have 100. No, you don't. You can have a $5,000. I sold that boat the year after, fully equipped, 4 graphs for $8,000.
When? You sound like my dad being like, back in my day when I bought
last
a
year,
house, it was a nickel.
Last year. It was a 98 Triton. She was very well kept care of. That's I bought it in 2004.
Where do you live? It's like generically your area. Yes. Now let's pin my issue where I live. I live in Nova. I live in a place that's probably more expensive than the place they pump oil out of the damn ground in Saudi Arabia, where it's so expensive here in Baltimore, DC, Northern Virginia. This area is the case study for it because of how expensive it is to live and to exist. And if I go outside now and take a picture of the houses, there's no place you can keep a bass boat.
I agree. I'm not saying
that part's 100%.
See, this is the thing that I think kayak. This is the arguments I hear kayak fishermen make. It's one or the other, and I disagree with that. But here's the thing that I think that the kayak argument is such a lie.
Which argument? Which argument are you talking about?
The whole kayak angler is is a better return on your money. Okay, yeah, if you're fishing weekend tournaments, it is. It's selling the same lie. I think you're going to see eventually. Number one, there's no pro league. We can call the Bassmaster. It's not pro. It's not pro. It's the same way. Nobody's making a living off that series. Nobody. Not at those tournaments. You are selling to try and bring people in to this sport that it is economical. And it is at the base level. I agree. But if their aspirations overall is to make it to the professional level, make a living off of it, then the truth is the sponsorship's not there. It's not even there for bass boat tournaments. We all know this. We've had this discussion. It's definitely not going to be there for kayak tournaments because there's, the guys who are the everyday guys not going to pay the entry fee to load on their back the ability for people to make a living on it because they can't afford it.
Didn't Erwin Miner say that he couldn't fish the boats because he couldn't afford it because it's too expensive? So wouldn't that just mean either he is not a good angler because he's second class kayak, or he's a good angler, but he just can't afford the bass boat thing? So it's one or the other.
Now there's a difference between, but again, this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Can't or won't afford it. Look,
I don't know.
You started off by saying if anybody wants to give me a Camus, nobody give me a Camus. I'll show you my bank slip right now.
Ranger boat, that's fine too. I won't judge. Bass
what I paid for that boat is the same thing anybody would pay for a piece of crap nitro. I mean, I'm sorry. It's the same thing. So my point is, look, I hear this argument all the time, and it's always everybody wants to talk about the extremes. I hear this argument all the time. It's more affordable. It's the camaraderie. You travel. Well, we had 6 bass boats at a house. We all split it. We paid nothing. You know what it really comes down to is a want and a desire. For me, I'm not a kayak guy because I like comfort. I don't want to wear waders when I go fishing in the middle of the year because my boat has holes in it and don't have a bilge pump. I want to be able to lay down on my front deck. I like nice seats. I like going fast.
Can you get that boat up the South Holston River?
Do what?
You got a jet on that thing? Can you get up the new river in that bad boy? Let's take all your arguments. Let's just break them down. So first thing is it's cheaper. Okay, that's a good one. What is the definition of cheap? Are we talking about a completely like the highest end kayak versus the highest end? Are we talking the lowest versus the low? What is the comparison then for it's cheap?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Or we have to take it for apples for apples. You were talking about, we were fishing and you won versus, yeah, sure, up there, your BFLs don't get the turnout that they get down here. 2 2 years ago, I fished the mountain division. The mountain division is one of the toughest divisions out there.
Mm-hmm.
You're every year, every tournament is 150, 160 anglers. So it's going to pay out a lot more. It's going to pay out a lot better. Now the volunteer division is going to pay out a little less because not as many, because you have the Morristown Marine Division, which is an incredibly well run local tournament, local division. So yeah, I mean, yeah, if you do it the right way, I mean, how much do you think your kayak, graphs and all, how much do you have in it right now?
I have about $5,000, I think, total. And that's over 8 years with the Torpedo, the kayak setup, the whole shebang. My bass boat, I know I've put about $40,000 in that over 20 years with how pimped out it is. And of course, big engine maintenance and all that vibe. The kayak, the BFL, we had this past weekend had 130 entries. We had 66 in our kayak tournament. With 66 entries at $50 with sponsorships that they had, they were able to pay out all the money they did. With 130 plus spots that the BFLs had at $220, they were only able to pay out a measly like $4,000. So,
and I agree. Again, the BFLs is a bad example.
And that's why I'm trying to use that as the example, because you're right. Like Elite 70s, Steve Camp's Elite 70s, they pay out fantastic. Great.
Oh, yeah, great payout.
The Cats will have certain tournaments, but I think the best comparison is the BFLs to kayak, because BFLs are the grassroots. All over the United States, everyone has a BFL. Not everyone has an Elite 70s and stuff like that. There are probably in Texas and Florida great boats that have a good payout. But in general, if you use the BFLs as a comparison, the indictment really is on, I guess, the organization of the BFLs in general and how they have fleeced people for years.
Yes.
But when Hobie was still here and they were the guiding light, every single person, boat, kayak, wife, girlfriend, the Hobies paid out the best. For $200, guaranteed like 10 grand for 2 days of fishing versus the BFLs, which was one. It was a really good run organization. And my whole point with this whole argument here is when you come down to cost, resources, and the youth, this is the thing I'm going to be talking about. With Bass going and really pushing college, high school kayak fishing, this is so interesting to me from a 8, 5, 10-year program, because if you just get out of college, most of us cannot afford a bass boat. Most of us can't have a place to put a bass boat. You can put a kayak a lot of places. And when I have been a part of this kayak community for the past 2 years, the biggest thing that they say is not just about its cost, it's about storage. And I never understood that at first because I'm blessed everywhere I've lived. I've had a place to keep my boat next to my kayak. But a lot of people that live in cities and these like Ashburn and like house on house on house, you can't put a 21-foot skeeter anywhere. And so that is interesting to me, that if you are targeting the college guy and you get them hyped in kayak fishing because they can't afford it, let's just be real, they can. How do they make the jump to the boat world? That to me is the head scratcher when it comes Bass's plan is how do you get the college kid that graduated? He got married, he's got a kid now. How do you get him to commit to a brand new Phoenix?
It's not going to happen.
But I just want to know their business thought.
I mean,
what is it?
We've all seen that. We've all seen it now. It's starting younger and younger and younger. Trey McKinney's and all like that. We're starting at 19 years old. We haven't even gone to college, and I'm not going to say some of them won't, and some of them might. And it's not going to happen now because the pro side of professional bass fishing has now become just like the pro side of minor league baseball and Major League Baseball. When they get to the pro series, it's they treat it as a job. We've brought this up many times here on the show. And that is the coolest thing about the kayak series as a whole. And that is after you've gone through, your kids grown up a little bit. The cool thing is with that, if you don't have a lot of money, And money makes the world go round. We all know that. I mean, you can't just harp on that. I mean, but if you make a menial job where you make $30,000-$40,000 a year, you make your house payment, you pay your electric bill, and you got a few dollars left over, you could buy a decent kayak and just paddle out there and fish with. Hell, guys, we had some Zepcos here win a tournament on Smith Mountain Lake. $25 Zepcos. You don't need $500 a rod and reel combo. I mean, this guy fishes with a Zepco out of a kayak, paddles, no torpedo, nothing. So, I mean, the pimping is up to you how much you want to pimp your kayak as well as your bass boat to put. I mean, like Bass Geek. Bass Geek almost like died a couple years ago when he fell off the side of his boat, and then he got some steps. Thank God he's okay now, by the way. So, I mean, there's many different things that you can add on that, to help, pimp your boat there as well. So, I mean, it's based on what level financially you are. And like Geek said earlier, the commitment that you want to make. I mean, hell, guys, during the last recession, COVID, if you guys can call it, semi-recession in the recession, Angler's Choice couldn't get rid of a $30,000 bass boat. People still buying $150,000 bass boat. I mean, it's just because and the reason why, hell, it's 30 years. 30 years, $100,000, $200 a month. They ride it till the warranty runs out, drop it off at Angler's Choice, and pick up a new one.
Yeah, and I want to agree with Geek on something here, but to your point, all the boat industries would love to just sell kayaks. If they could sell these extremely expensive, because they are expensive high-end kayaks, which are just molded plastic boats, they would rather do that than fiberglass boats because they would make a mint. The margins would be so much better. That's why I think you see tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. I think this is why Bass getting on board with this, because the boat industry would love kayaks to be the thing. Why are kayaks starting to look more like boats? Isn't that suspicious? It's like, because they would make so much more money. But back to Geek's point, I think what you're seeing here with the expense is the Overton window. And this is the problem is you'll compare that Icon just made a $150,000 bass boat. So then you're like, yeah, well, this $15,000 kayak is cheaper. You're correct. It's cheaper. But the window keeps shifting, and so we keep calling this the cheap one when it's like, no, like 5 years ago, that was crazy expensive. Look at the truck market. Same thing. It's like, oh, this truck is only $50,000 with 100,000 miles. That's a steal. It's like, no, it's not. And that's that's a huge issue that kayak fishing is running into quicker than boats with the technology boom of going, 8 years ago, pedaling was a big deal. And now you need a motor, you need 5 electronics. It is insane how much that has shot up. But the two things kayaks have is mobility and storage. You can store that thing anywhere, and you can take it anywhere. You can throw that thing in the Susquehanna or a little electric motor only lake, or throw it in the back of your truck. It's a lot easier to deal with. My Ranger, Nye Reservoir, where we had our event, I really don't think I could have gotten that boat in that lake. It's about 800 acres. The boat ramp is shit. It's mud and sand. No way I could get that in there. The kayak allows you to do that. I've always said kayaking will not be big in TVA area. It just won't. That is bass land. But if you live in North Carolina, which is, I think, 70% electric motor only lakes, Virginia has a ton of electric motor only lakes, Georgia, Susquehanna, smallmouth country. There are tribes, regions where I think kayaking is going to boom because the water lends itself to that. And this is what I'm worried about with bass. If you talk to kayak anglers, they don't think the Bass Trail is true kayak because it's run by a bass boat organization. And if you're going to take all of the kayak events to the Kentucky Lake, Gunnersville, all these places, it's not the same as going to Susquehanna or places like that. So I don't know. I am worried about the future of it in that sense. One last thing. If they made a pro league, which we talked about Irwin about this, the thing that Bass is going to be licking their lips about is there is no weigh-in. So the logistics of doing that stuff on like a Tourney X app is a dream to them. It's not that expensive for them to run these events. And it doesn't take a whole lot for a pro kayak angler to make money. You don't need to make $100,000 per tournament because your expenses are so low. And I think this is something I think a lot of people on the outside don't understand. The reason you need to have $100,000 purse for a bass boat, Hank has done these breakdowns. There is so much expense in these tournaments when they practice, fill up the boat, all that stuff. If a kayak guy, if the grand prize was 25,000, they're not putting that kind of gas in their kayak. Their kayak setup did not cost that much. They will make money on it. So that again is alluring to some of these businesses because the sponsorship dollars you need to make it worth it aren't that bad. So if I was investing this, it's a dollar stock that has potential to be Amazon in 10 years, 15 years, but it will be regional. I don't think it'll be ever national because again, TVA, Texas, Florida, that will always be bass boat country for sure.
Yeah.
I just think it's, man, I just think that BASS is going to try their best and they'll screw it up because they're looking at it as just another way as a feeder into the elites. And
how? I would love to know.
Well, I mean, I think they think that their machine for these people will hook the right people up with the right sponsorship dollars. And, and I think that's what they're thinking. Look, this is a way to kind of keep the, everyday man, which I hate that term. I think it's such garbage. And, in the sport. And I think they'll use it as a feeder system to get in because I think that's what their thinking is on
it. And I kind of, I wish I picked Irwin's brain a little bit more when we had him on because, when he said I have 300,000 miles on my SUV and stuff, and I'm making money. I could tell with how he's presenting. It's he's not against the idea, but he's not trying to be financially stupid. And I think that's what's so interesting is if you want to do the boat thing, and God bless you if you have great parents or you have some money. I'm not knocking that, but a lot of people make the decision to make horrific, life-destroying financial decisions to roll the dice one time at the casino. And with the kayak thing, you don't have to literally financially ruin yourself and sleep on an air mattress in a hotel. And is that what Bass is trying to do? Is just be predatory on college kids and be like, hey, listen, we're going to jangle these keys. Well, I guess they have been doing that, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, to me, that's what I meant earlier by, look, I think this is the thing that kayak fishing wants to believe about itself. But the truth is more, look, you got a lot of people that are upset because of the prices of boats, of, anything. I mean, eggs, milk, gas. And so they appeal to, again, this everyday sort of angler. Anybody can do it. And I do love that. I want to see the sport grow. That's something that I'm a big fan of. But I think in the end, what's going to happen is now we've got the feeder system for the kayak anglers now. So now we can get those kids whose parents don't have the money to go buy little Johnny a brand new bass boat, and now we can bring them in, and now we can have a larger. Now we've just expanded our feeder system, so now we can really get the best talent. No matter if you have money or you don't have money, we can make people believe that you can compete no matter what. When it's all really a bunch of bullshit in the end, and I think that's what I think Bass is going to do, and I think honestly it's perpetuated throughout the kayak community because the truth of the matter of the fact is the same thing I said last week when, me and Brian was talking. Look, and I'm in this category. I'm not good enough to be a pro. Most people aren't. But most people want to believe that they can.
Yeah.
And the truth is only about 5% are good enough to do it. And it's never been, even back then, and I think this is what you're going to see happen. My prediction is this. If kayak fishing does have an actual trail, you're going to see the same exact thing in 10 years that you're seeing right now. Because the only people 10, 20 years ago that could actually make it as a pro was somebody that didn't have a wife, didn't have kids, slept in the back of their truck, or camped, or somebody that had a company and he could leave his wife and kids while his brother or his wife or his dad ran it.
Yep, it's true.
It'll be the same thing in kayak fishing if it's professional, because fishing in general doesn't have the dollars. And they'll have to up, I mean, let's face it, they'll have to up the entry fees to do it. Now, you're selling to a group of people who are getting into this sport in an affordable way and then saying, okay, you've made it here.
So that
now you got to pay three times the amount.
That'll be the interesting thing is, again, how does Bass, the company, do it? Because if you just take the same sponsorship dollar you receive by the community that holds your event, that's more than enough money to where you don't have to jack up the entry fees. But let's just say Bass, being stupid, says, no, let's make the kayak tournament the same price as the BFL, because they make great decisions all the time. Okay, cool. Now, perception's reality. It's always how it is. Doesn't matter how much logic, it's always perception's reality. If you make it almost the exact same thing, what are people going to pick? I think people are going to pick a bass boat. I think people are just going to pick a bass boat. If everything's apples to apples, you're going to pick the bass boat. But
I don't think anybody's going. I don't think Bass will give you the option truly by the time you get to that level. Like, it'll be like, well, here's our nice little pro league, but you want to make real money? Come on over here. I think that's what Bass is going to do.
I think in a whole, if organizations try to create kayak fees that are the same as boats, you lose some of your marketing leverage. Yes. You can't hype that up as being cheaper and it's the same price. You're gaslighting people, and people don't like that. People are not going to believe it. It's interesting, dude. It really is how this progresses. Do I think it's a cheaper option? I mean, it's just like saying you're the smartest person on the short bus. I mean, yeah, you're technically the cheapest, but that's not saying a lot. Are you accessible to a lot of younger people? Yes, because people that are my age that are starting families and getting married, you cannot go buy a brand new Phoenix to have the Phoenix Bucks. You can't, unless your family gives it to you or you have something like that.
No, look, it's took me 30 years to get to this point.
Yeah, which is no knock. That's perfectly fine. So is kayak fishing in that sense more accessible? It is. And it's more accessible in different communities. JMU has a fishing team. They have a kayak team. And guess what? They can kayak fish the Shenandoah River. That's put that place on the map, the Upper Potomac. Like, you have new fishing communities sprouting out that are not like the old school TVA systems, which, again, it's all fascinating because for the first time in fishing, we have a generation of anglers growing up doing something different. And this is what Bass, and I think everyone's missing the ball on. And when I was on the, I'm still on the board on Maryland, and they showed us the graph of the amount of kayaks and people that got into fishing because of COVID. And you see this massive boom, and all these people on this graph were just kayak guys, and they were younger. And then you start thinking, like, most of these people are youth. And now you're going to have a whole generation that all they know is kayaks, and here's the bigger one, catch, photo, release. You have in the bass community, and this is kind of branching out from kayak fishing in general, but that is so stomped on the weigh-in system, because that's what they dealt with, is you go into a weigh and you catch your five and bring them in. But now, since 2019, which is what, less than 5 years or something like that, whatever it is, they're growing up on a whole new system. And so as they get older, I think this cultural...
It's just going to follow.
It's going to follow. It's going to adjust. And that's just, again, I don't have the answer. It's just fascinating because you will have more polarization, I think, going forward between kayak and boat, because there's so many people that just grew up with kayak fishing, which is neat and interesting and different. And I don't know where it goes, but I think that's why, again, Yamaha bought Torpedo and Bass is getting involved in kayak fishing, because they know it's here to stay. and they want to get a piece of that pie.
All right, guys, we're gonna.
And I agree.
I won't let the boys have their last call here on this, but please comment below. You know, whether you come back to our Facebook page, the Basscast Radio. We have a group, by the way. You guys can come on over there and comment. The show gets shared there as well. We'd love to get your opinion, your comments on this, and look at it going forward. I mean, I do know people like Thomas, you know, who have the kayak boat and the bass boat as well. You know, they kind of do both and dabble in both. Don't have very expensive bass boats, like, you know, but they do dabble in both. But we'd love to get your comments and your opinions about this in the future. We know the 60-plus-year-olds and above are not. You're not even gonna think about this. This is like, you know, I will own a $80,000 to $100,000 bass boat till I die. But for the younger generation out there, you know, 30 and below, like, you know, Thomas was saying, this is an alternative that we've never had before. And guys, Thomas is one thing I do agree with Thomas on this about the plastic boats. We've seen, me and Geek and I both, we saw it at it was Tennessee, Knox Vegas during the classic, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
During the expo, that miniature plastic boat that was like, it holds two people. You can put it had a electric powered motor on the back, and it had an electric trolling motor on the front, and it was all Rubbermaid. It's all plastic, and it was really freaking cool. Lots of storage. So yeah, our kayaks are getting a lot bigger than you know what they kind of start out with, the little Pelican you buy from Walmart.
And it's a problem. It is a problem. I agree with that, because it's the same thing the boat industry got into an issue with, is they're making it more expensive. I think the better example is that no one talks about, again, is trucks. Look at pre-COVID and trucks now. If you want to just get a normal truck, like what, $100,000 for a stupid work truck? If you own a landscaping company or construction, it's preposterous, but it doesn't have to be that way. But we're just getting completely shafted by companies that are doing this to us.
All right, Geek, I'll let you have the last word and we'll wrap this bad boy up.
You know, and I mean, I agree. Again, I'll say this over and over. I am happy that a ton of people like to, you know, kayak. I am 51. I don't. I've been there, done that. I know everybody thinks this is actually new, but it's really not. You know what they used to be called? They used to be called John boats. And you used to be able to get a Minn Kota trolling motor, or no, not even a Minn Kota, a Motor Guide trolling motor with the silver shaft. If you guys are old enough to remember this, you could stand in them. They were wobbly. You would fall out of them sometimes, just like a good old kayak is today. And, you know, they were about the same weight as most of the kayaks are.
And so the pop was 25 cents.
Yeah, you know, that's what I started out fishing in. You know, I'm one of those guys, and I guess what really drives me crazy is, you know, hearing the people, hearing this everyday man thing. You know, when I was 6-year-old, I was planting tobacco. When I was, 11 years old, I was working in hay and shoveling shit for a horse farm. And what I mean by that is I was dirt ass poor. I don't care who you think you are. If you was poor, you don't know poor. I chopped wood all summer long to heat the house during the winter. Poor. I carried groceries that share the blessing in the pouring down rain so my family could have groceries to eat. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and for anybody to say that you are the common man and can't afford nothing, I take offense to that, because I don't believe it. I believe it's how bad you want it. What do you want, and what are you willing to sacrifice to get that? Yes. Because I am an example of that. I work hard. I play hard. I've been dirt poor. I'm not afraid to go back there, but I will be back out of that. And what I mean by that is I'm happy that everybody has a door, a gateway into the bass fishing world. I think you should, but I am also the guy that is going to stand at that door and tell you, because me and Brian again talked about this last week. How many guys went out and spent thousands of dollars because they seen that bass fishing, you could make a living in the tournament world of bass fishing, and they went out and they bought a brand new nitro and all this stuff, and they went out and they fished for 10 years and then they sold it all. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen every version of it. Every version of it. I've seen the guy who's a stud on his local lake and wants to get into it, and he gets in his first tournament, and he's a co-angler, and the guy's motor blows, and and he sucks on every other lake. I've seen it. I've seen it. It takes a different type of talent to really be a pro, and I think a lot of people fool themselves into. It's great. Look, there's a lot of people can make money living fishing local. There's a lot of people that can have a lot of fun fishing tournaments, and I love tournaments. It's not what I love about bass fishing. It is probably not even in the top 5. But I worry about, us running into the same problem, and I very much see kayak fishing going down the same road that boat fishing is doing. With a let's see, what was it? And this was 3 years ago. What would it cost now? What was it? $30,000 kayak from Christina. Wasn't that how she had it all decked out? I mean, ridiculous. And look, I'm a like I said, I had a Triton that was worth the electronics was worth more than the boat.
No, yeah,
but
I agree that it's going. It's making all the same mistakes. It's doing the same sins the boat does. But I think you're coming from it from the purity of work ethic and the talent. I'm looking at it from business, and they say in Marketing 101, perception is reality. No matter what you feel, what does the person think? And if you look to every person, if we talk to that same individual and he said like, well, I think it's the cheaper version. My thought is like, oh, bass has really screwed up if they've lost that narrative, because kayaking basically has that narrative, and perception is reality. And that's what is scary I'm thinking business standpoint. Kayak anglers believe they're the cheaper option and will gloat about it, right or wrong. Bass guys can't do that. They lose that argument superficially, mind you, because you turn on bass or the BPT and you look at those boats and you're like, oh, wow, my house doesn't even cost that much. That's a problem. And I think kayaking will eventually run into that when kayaks cost that much, God forbid. But my bigger question is this: how the hell does bass get that back? Can boats get that back and say we're the cheap everyman thing?
But see, I don't think you want to. See, as a sport, what other sport do you look at, LeBron James and say, I can do that?
I do not look at LeBron James and say I can do that. But
okay, do you look at,
But we did talk about that, Geek. I ain't gonna interrupt, but we did talk about that last week. Like I said, I mean, bass fishing is one of them sports you could do till you're like 65 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean,
don't mean you should.
Don't mean you should be out there on that.
I think that's one of the knocks that mine and yours, being NASCAR fans, Brian, we have on a lot of people. We hear that from a lot of NASCAR people. I don't even recognize who these kids are, but man, there's a whole bunch of people in the stands that do.
Mm-hmm. But is NASCAR a real sport?
Well, bass fishing's not a real sport.
Agreed.
But they want to be, and that's the difference.
We're going to end tonight's show right there, guys. Like I said, please make your comments below. We really, really would like to hear your feedback and comments. Thank you all for watching, by the way. And like I said, heavy hitters have been wrapped up by now. Congratulations to whoever wins the 2025 heavy hitters on Smith Mountain Lake. Lots of great more fishing to come. Temperatures are starting to warm up around here, starting to get really nice, trying to get in the swimming pools and have a good time with family and friends. But bass fishing continues. Don't forget, May 31st is the next Bass Cast Tournament Series event on Smith Mount Lake, going out of the state park. We already have a few boats registered and signed up already. So head on over now and get signed up at thebasscast.com. Click on Basscast 2025 tournament schedule. Basscast 2025 tournament schedule. Everything you need to do and know is right there. Get paid, prepaid. We're doing it all on the internet this year, guys. It helps out. It's so much easier, so much smoother. So thank you guys for all doing that. And anybody got any closing quick words here? And we're going to roll on out tonight, man.
I got one. Golf's not a real sport either. Prove me wrong.
Who else can we
They're still having heart attacks.
Let's see. What other groups can we piss off tonight? Let's talk about the Middle East. No, I'm good.
All right, guys. Like I said, head on over. Make sure you are following Fishing the DMV. Don't forget to sign up for the tournaments that are happening right now. Become a Patreon member. Like I said, for both of us who don't mind, we really, really appreciate that. But with Fishing the DMV, and head on over and make sure you hit the subscribe button for Bass Geek on some amazing tips and techniques that will be coming out in the weeks ahead. So have a great night, everyone, and we will talk to you all later right here on Basscast Radio.